Hello, hello, everyone. Spring continues. I always start with the weather because I'm sure you can all realize is that the sun and the warm weather are, they're so what I long for. They're so huge for me. Okay, so great. So today we're going to talk about how best to communicate effectively with your GAL, the guardian ad litem. This is the children's lawyer. This is the minors counsel, whatever it might be called in your jurisdiction. That is what we're going to focus on today. All right, so let's go ahead and jump right in. I want to go through certain notes, and then I'm going to show you a template that you can use with your GAL when you are communicating with them. Okay, but first let's go through the basics, and then we'll take a look at that template. So get ready to take some notes. Open up a document, a notepad, a Google Doc on your desktop. If you're on your desktop, and if not, just take real notice and watch on the replay, okay? So your GAL, the guardian ad litem, children's lawyer. The first thing you're going to want to think about is when you first meet with them in person, okay? This is their chance to get to know each of you, you and your co-parent, and they will do this separately. When you go in, for most cases, you will only meet with the GAL once, not always. But for a lot of cases, you'll just meet with them that initial at the sort of the beginning of their introduction to your case. And so you have one chance to make a really good impression. Okay. So here's what I want you to do when you do that. When you first go in, I want you to focus more on talking about your parenting and how you are the healthier parent, what you do as a parent, than you do on your gripes and your accusations about your ex, your concerns about your co-parent, right? So when you go in, just be very cognizant of saying things like, I'm the one who makes the appointments. I take them to school. I do the laundry. I make the dinner. I help them with their homework. I sign them up for soccer and ballet, etc. All right. And talk about the routines that you've got going on. Okay. So start out in that way. All right, so that's the first place you're going to go, is you want to just focus on how you are as a parent. That should be the bulk of what you're talking to them about, okay? And then when you go to talk about your co-parent and your concerns about your co-parent, I want you to talk about your concerns in a way where you are painting a clear picture of what is going on. Right. So if you've got a narcissistic co-parent, your co-parent is someone with a cluster B personality disorder, then you want to not use the words narcissist or emotional abuse or anything like that. The courts tend to get a little jumpy about that kind of language. So you're going to want to just present your concerns in the way that will show them a clear picture of who they are. So what I like to have my clients use is something called the timeline of disturbing behavior. Disturbing behavior is basically our euphemism for abuse. All right. It's basically saying, okay, you don't want me to call it abuse. Fine. But it is disturbing behavior. And here's what that looks like. Okay. Now, with the timeline of disturbing behavior, you're also giving them a little bit of a chronology of how things happen with your ex. Here's what happened. Here's how it happened. Here are my notes on what happened. Here's when it happened. And you show it in a certain way, and you're choosing things that will show the GAL who it is that you're dealing with. Okay. Now, the second piece of it then is going to be when your child meets with the GAL, which they should be doing on some sort of a cadence, right? So maybe once a month, maybe every few months, depending on how long your case is going and what specifically is going on in your case. So if there's a physical abuse in your case, then the GAL is probably going to be more connected than if it seems to them like you're just both the problem, right? Both you and your co-parent. So when your child goes in, every time they go in to meet with the GAL, do not coach them to say anything in particular. The reason why is because a good GAL is going to be skilled at knowing, no matter what age your kids are, whether they're toddlers, whether they're teenagers, as to whether or not they've been coerced or coached into saying something. Okay, and that does go both ways. A good GAL will be able to see through that. Okay, so what you will want to say to them is you will want to say to your kids, just tell them the truth. Whatever they're asking, just tell them the truth. And that's all you're going to want to do. All right. Okay. So You're going to tell your kids to tell the truth, and you're going to remember not to coach them. Okay. So what's then the next thing you're going to do with the GAL now that you've spoken to them, the kids have a cadence with them? What's the next piece? Well, since, as I said, in most court cases, you don't get to meet with the GAL more than once, maybe twice, then your main way of communicating is going to be through email. All right. So you're going to want to send updates. And you're going to want to determine what the cadence is of those updates. What do I mean by that? Okay, well, if your case is moving along quickly, maybe you want to send updates every week. If there's a lot going on with your ex, maybe you want to send it every week, right? If the case is moving along kind of slowly, but things tend to come up fairly frequently with your ex, then bi-weekly updates are good, right? I like to have people send them on Mondays, even better yet, send them on Tuesday mornings, because when everybody gets back to the office on Mondays, there's all kinds of emails and your update gets lost with all of that stuff they've got. Whereas Tuesday morning is still the beginning of the week, they're caught up and they're more likely to really pay attention to what you've sent, okay? So figure out if you want that to be once a month, every other week, or every week if there's a lot of egregious things happening every week, right? You want to format this email to your GAL so you are talking about the incidents that are worrisome to you. In other words, the stuff that your co-parent is doing that you feel is simply not okay. And then you also want to focus a bit more on what you are doing as a parent. You know, we went to the fair, we went to the festival, we did that. I helped with homework, we did the science project together, and talk more about your child as well to basically give them a clearer idea of what their child is like. That also shows your involvement, right? But they're the child's lawyer. So you can say, oh, well, Anita just got her black belt in Taekwondo. You know, Sally just was the star of the and voted MVP of the hockey team, whatever it might be, okay? And it's okay. I think it's okay to every once in a while include a picture of an activity that you did with the kids, right? Just kind of helping to really visually let the GAL see what a great parent you are and what you guys have been doing together and how happy you are to be doing these things together, right? So with the updates, you want to figure out what's your cadence going to be. I'm going to show you a format right now, and that's going to be where your updates are. All right, so let's take a look at, just give me a moment to pull this up because this is the format you're going to want to follow. Okay, here we go. So hopefully y'all can see this. You know, pipe up, put something in the comments if you're not able to see this. Otherwise, I want to take you through this. Okay, sorry. All right, there we go. All right, so here's what you're going to want this to look like. So you might just title it, right? This is for your updates and incidents. So you're going to title it, you know, in the subject of the email you're sending. You're going to say week of, and then put the date for that week, right? Like it was the previous week you want to talk about, then you're going to want to put the date for the Sunday or Monday of the previous week, right? Okay. And if it's bi-weekly, then you can just call it bi-weekly update or monthly update, right? And just send it, keep that same cadence. So always send it on every other Tuesday morning or every Tuesday morning or the first of every month, right? Whatever it might be. And here's basically what you're gonna do. You're gonna wanna have about 3 to 5 bullet points. There's probably so much that might happen in a week, but you don't want to just have this list of grievances, okay? So what I want you to do is I want you to put it in a format where you've got your first bullet point. You're basically saying, this happened on this date and here are the details. I mean, you wouldn't use that exact wording, but what I'm saying is you're gonna go in, you're gonna say, hey, here was this incident, and now I'm going to describe the incident. It happened on this date at this time. Here's what my children said about it, you know, or here's what I saw, or whatever the details might be. And the details should be not just storytelling for what the incident is about, but it should also be factual for as many facts as you've got about it. Okay. So, and you want it to be brief. This should not be a long paragraph. It should be a short paragraph. Okay. And then maybe you have another incident. So you have, you know, a second bullet point, another incident, and maybe there's a third thing you want to tell them about. Maybe you received something from your ex, a particularly angry and just inappropriate email, and you want to share a screenshot of that and some of the, quote, you're going to pull some quotes out of it. They were insulting you. They were insisting on something that's a bold-faced lie. And you would just kind of say, then I got this bizarre email from my ex where he was accusing me of this. And it's kind of odd because he's saying we were here, but we were actually there. We were at church, there were people around us, and in a way that shows that in the email, your ex is saying this, but you have plenty of proof to say that actually this is the truth, right? So you want to have about 3 to 5 of these bullet points. And then underneath, after you've written all that, then this is the space in which you're basically going to write things like, also we went to the fair, the science project, there was a soccer game, Johnny had his ballet recital, whatever it might be, right? So, and then you basically then sign off, right? So that's what that's going to look like. Okay. Let me see if there's any questions about this format, but this is basically the format. So take your notes on that, and note that this is what you're going to want to send to your GAL. Again, find that cadence and send that along. All right, good. So the only other thing I want to say about this, communicating with your GAL, and don't expect them to respond, by the way. They're taking it in, right? And they're filing it. They're putting it in your file. You might hear back from them, you might not, but I don't see a lot of GALs coming back and asking for more specifics or more questions in these update emails. They might do it in a different way, or they might just be gathering it all. And then the next time that there's some sort of a big meeting or anything like that, or something they want to check into, it just depends on how they work. Your job is simply to give them this information. You're expressing your concerns. You are talking about what a great parent you were over the past week, 2 weeks, month, whatever it might be. And the other thing I might say is you might just show your appreciation that they're taking the time to even go through it, because all of these GALs are overwhelmed. The last thing I want to say is that a lot of times parents are saying, you know what, the GAL hates me. The GAL is biased. They're skewed. Nobody can tell me any different. They are biased and they are skewed because that is part of their job. They are trying to determine between this mom and this dad, or this dad and dad, mom and mom, whatever it might be, that these two parents have come into the court system because they cannot get along. They're accusing each other of things, and they're both insisting that the kid should be with them and not the other parent. So the GAL's job then, because you've gone in, you've petitioned for sole custody, and they petitioned for sole custody, their job is to determine who should get sole custody. By nature of that, they have to be biased one way or the other. So keeping them updated is a way to make sure that if they're going to have a good bias towards somebody, gosh, let's let it be you, right? Because if you were let into this group, it's because you're dealing with a high conflict personality, okay? Otherwise, if they weren't skewed, they would just see you both as the problem, and they wouldn't be much help, really. They're supposed to be there to protect your kids, right? They're supposed to be there to decide who should end up with custody. So if you're feeling like they're biased against you, I don't think you should sit and gripe about it. I think that you should be doing these updates, and I think that you should be doing your absolute best to take a look at whatever accusations are being levied against you and make sure that you are disproving them or cleaning up anything that might have any truth to it that they're twisting, right? And just be ready to defend yourself, but defend yourself to the GAL, right? Because this person has a strong voice. In some jurisdictions, they are the voice. It's not even the evaluator. The judges, if a judge tends to really love the GALs in their jurisdiction, they're just going to go with what the GAL recommends. And that's who you're going to see before you see an evaluator the vast majority of the time. The GAL will be assigned early or mid-case, and the evaluator is usually assigned when nothing else has worked, right? Or when there's just egregious abuse that could possibly be going on. So this GAL is a key person to communicate with. All right. So for those of you who are just tuning in a little bit late, please absolutely go through the replay. take a look at everything. For those of you who would like to get a hold of the timeline of disturbing behavior, I have plunked the link down below. I'll double check to make sure that it's in the description for this. And if not, I will put it there so that you can have a link and you can get a hold of the timeline of disturbing behavior, which again is how you want to start out with your first meeting with the GAL to make sure that she or he, usually she, understands what it is that your accusations are coming from, where they're coming from, what it is that you're dealing with, all of that, okay? GALs, they love this. It really paints things for them. It really makes it very clear as to what is going on. All right, so take a look for that link. And if y'all need anything else, just, put something down there and I'll get back to you. You guys see that I get back to you for things. And you can also get in touch at custodycorner.com and see what we've got there. All right. Okay. Let me see. Good stuff. Yes, it is. So use it. Awesome. I don't see any questions. Post them below if y'all have questions later. Otherwise, I will see you next Friday. Have a fabulous weekend. Bye, everyone.